Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This is Lifestyle Channel, and you are watching Lifestyle with Dr. Moby. And today we have great guest Genesis Amaris Kemp with us. Let's welcome Genesis. How are you?
I'm doing well, Dr. Moby. Thank you so much. How are you?
I am good. Thank you for coming. So, tell my audience and myself, of course, I know about your bio, that what do you do and how it all started.
Hey, everyone. My name is Genesis Amaris Kemp. I am the author of Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, From the Pit to the Palace, an inclusion and diversity enthusiast and motivational speaker. And, with 2020, I learned how to pivot after going through various trials and tribulations, and now I am really embracing my gifts and talents and showing up so I could help viewers and listeners like you, shift and pivot to get to where you want to go and not where you currently are.
Hmm. Very nice, very nice. So it's very important for everybody to know that she had an excellent career in corporate America, and then she knew how to pivot and then kind of find her passion. So that's another thing we always emphasize and we talk about is finding a purpose for your life, purpose of life, or you know so it kind of gets you, like you said, you had 9 to 5 job, right? But you at that time you were not thinking about your purpose, right?
Exactly, because I was checking into someone else's time clock, building their empire, their brand, their legacy, when in reality, Genesis wants to build her legacy, her brand. And, I want to show up and really be that person to help other people. But you can't do that whenever you are chasing, the money bags and you're working for somebody who doesn't normally see your gifts and talents that you have inside of you.
Mhm. And that is true. So, I mean, I also did 9 to 5 job for many, many years. And, now of course, I still do, but I do my own business. But I, of course, do a lot of media work and now do a lot of writing and helping people. And that's where, it kind of, after hearing like yourself and a lot of other folks, yeah, I think of that. Yeah, I know why I feel that way. you know. So, what exactly that's what gets you motivated by hearing and by listening to other stories, and then finding out yes, so there is definitely a truth that feeling you were having that there's something missing, something not right about it, or something inside has not come out right.
Yes, you hit the nail on the head because I think there's a lot of us like yourself, Dr. Moby, and me, where maybe you work for that corporate job or that 9 to 5, and you were working because it was a means to pay your bills. You were working to support and provide for your family, but you weren't fulfilled because you were assuming the identity and responsibilities of what that employer was paying you to do, when in reality you knew there was something rooted inside of you that you wanted to ignite, but you may not have known how to get there. So sometimes whenever life's challenges come to us, we have to learn how to, weather the storm, and then we have to learn how to understand, why am I in this season? And while I'm in this season, what is the reason for this season? And it comes with self awareness as well as self reflection. And once we could really just tap into who we are as an individual, then I truly believe that everything will fall into place. And it's not going to be easy because it's something outside of your comfort zone, but nothing that is easy in life lasts long. So you really have to cultivate and put in the work, and hard work does pay off.
Okay, and you were saying that your basically book is called Chocolate Drop in Corporate America, right?
Yes, this is what the book looks like.
Okay, great. Wow. So why did you name Chocolate Drop?
Funny that you should ask. So since I am, African American, Black
Mhm.
American, I do identify with that. But I got tired of people saying, oh, she's African American or she's Black, or people are asking me, what are you? Because your name or whatever. And I'm like, well, I was born in Texas or whatnot. And I said, you know what? I'm going to just scratch all that, scratch all the labels, and I'm going to call myself Chocolate Drop. And I'm going to be that chocolate drop in corporate America. And whenever I think about chocolate, I think about chocolate coming in various forms. It comes in milk chocolate, white chocolate,
Yeah.
smooth, crunchy, whatever. And then I was like, and I work in corporate America, so that's like a cute, funny, twist to it. And then the fact that the subtitle of my book is From the Pit to the Palace means that sometimes we have to go through dark seasons in our life in order to appreciate the light at the end of the tunnel. But if you never go through hard times, are you going to appreciate the successes that come out of those hard times? Because those hard times are what teaches us valuable lessons, and it helps strengthen us as individuals.
Mhm. And also, I mean, the reason I find it very interesting is I love chocolate. By the way, you can see my dress. I love chocolate. I eat every day. It's just because I love the taste. So that's why I said, wow, somebody really likes chocolate like I do. And I said, so maybe I'll ask her and see. Maybe she likes chocolate. Do you like chocolate?
I do. I love Toblerone, Swiss chocolate, dark chocolate, milk chocolate, all types of chocolates.
Okay, which one is your favorite?
I love the candy called Toblerone,
Oh,
Tob. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Lot of Toblerone when we were growing up. I don't eat as many as now, but I like any dark chocolate is fine, right?
And and there's another one I do like too. My friend is Venezuelan, so she has a chocolate business and it's called Chocolates Dalila. So it's Venezuelan homemade chocolate and it's really good.
Oh wow. Okay, well I have to try that then. I think that is important, that you need to have passion of some food, and everybody loves, they have certain things which they can live without it, and chocolate is not one of the worst thing to have. Right? So also tell me a little bit about, we're going to talk also about corporate America. And so tell me a little bit about what is your experience with the corporate America.
So I spent 15 years in corporate America. 11 and a half of those years were spent in the oil and gas and energy sector. And 7.5 of those years I spent working for a Fortune 500 company here in Texas.
Mhm.
I had various roles such as administrative assistant. I went to be a raw material coordinator for polypropylene. Then I did compliance for trade regulations for this Fortune 500 company. And then before that, I went from being an imaging clerk to project coordinator to HSE assistant, which HSE is health, safety, and environmental. And then I moved on to be an interim HSE manager. So I've had various roles in the oil and gas and energy sector. I started at the bottom of the totem pole and I worked my way up because I was not subject to be in a box. I was thinking outside of the box and I knew that I wanted to achieve more than the current job title that I had.
Mhm.
And it was interesting. Some roles were fun, other roles I consider them as stretch activities, which means it stretched me outside of my comfort zone. But by getting outside of my comfort zone, I learned something that I wouldn't have ordinarily learned. And I truly believe that, everything does happen for a reason. Even though it wasn't a role that I would quote unquote pick for myself, I embraced it and I said, okay, let me see what I can learn from this role. Let me see who the key players are, because now I'm meeting other people outside of, my comfort zone, different personalities and etc. And it did work for my good.
So it did work. So also tell me about, with corporate America, of course, I was also part of that, or working for many, many years. And then I had I work, of course, with Department of Defense, VA, as well as private hospitals, and still do. My take is always that it's like any organizations, and they have their rules. Um, they would things have changed. So things have really drastically changed. So when I started working 20 years ago, it was a little bit different, but now it's a little more different in not so great way. So why are they going downhill rather than going up?
So, in my personal opinion, I feel like the diversity, equity, and inclusion is a hot topic right now. And I feel like it's something that corporations, no matter what industry you're in, they
Mhm.
should really take a look at that, and not from the standpoint of, oh, I'm having diversity, equity, and inclusion to check the box and hire the right amount of representation. But what are you doing once that representation comes into your company? Are you making sure those individuals are being seen? Are you making sure those individuals are being heard? Are you making sure those individuals have, the ability to progress in their career and not be those quote unquote token holders where you're hiring X amount of Asians, X amount of Blacks or African Americans, X amount of Hispanics or Latinos, Latinas, or whatever? You have to just hire the best candidate for the job and not really hire someone to fit in a box, because we as individuals were never meant to fit in a box. And I personally feel like whenever corporations are running their business like that, it comes up and bites them in the behind, because they're not factoring all the differences of, opinions, skill sets, and etc. And we need all of one another to work together. And even though, Dr. Moby, you mentioned that you are originally from Pakistan, and you're, even though you're from a different industry, if you're coming over to my industry as oil and gas, it's a different industry, but that does not mean that you don't have skills that are transferable. It doesn't mean that you can't learn what we're teaching or whatever. And that is a form of, being equitable, having that equality there, not just seeing you as a person from Pakistan or a person who has a different color of their skin, but seeing you as an individual and seeing you for what you bring to the table. And then,
Yeah, and that is such an important topic, and I'm glad you're bringing it up. A lot of what I see, most of the industries, and I give example of NFL. Okay,
mhm,
so they, I see, they had, some changes in the rules for the head coach, and then of course there was a time when there were not many players with different colors. And now there are players, but still some of the key positions, quarterback, head coach, all those, they still are lacking some of the diversity which they can use. And also, by the way, I don't think they have enough females. They should have, you know so that is one example. I mean, I watch NFL all the time, so I know what they are saying is because there are older ways, and it's hard to change that right away. So I think the corporate America is very similar in that sense, that they would check the box, they will hire A, B, C, D in it to put to look good, but
mhm.
whether they really mean it or whether they really give them the area to expand or to help, that is still, I think, is still lacking a little bit. And,
And I would agree with that, Dr. Moby, fully, extently. And I would also add in the fact that whenever we talk about inclusion, diversity, and equity, take race aside, but you also have to look at the fact that, women who are re entering the workforce, for maybe they have been on maternity leave, they're then, that's part of them being inclusive. How are we accommodating working mothers? Do we have a place or whatnot for them to, breastfeed or whatever if they need to during the day? Then you think about people who have various sexual orientations. Like, are we considering them? Because even though their sexual orientation does not have anything to do with them doing their job proficiently, there's still a way that people tend to view those individuals because there's certain stigmas that are around those individuals. Then you think about religious backgrounds. There's certain people who need to pray during the day and
Yeah.
etc. Do we have a space for that individual to pray, or are we is our company culture conducive to where that individual says, hey, I need 5 extra minutes after this meeting to go pray, or I need this amount of time to do whatever? Does that individual feel like they can tell their supervisor or their team leader that? So not only are we talking about, having a diverse group of people, but where's the inclusivity for those diverse group of people? Like, are we, meeting them where they are? Because if we make those individuals feel welcome, they're going to thrive in the organization, and they're going to want to put in 100% versus 50% because they truly feel like they feel valued, they feel like they're an asset, and they feel like they truly matter to the organization, and they aren't just that person who is different than everyone else.
And I think the problem is, look at right now, even the top leadership, I think I would say, in US, it's actually the top leadership is still now this year probably got more diverse, but
Hmm.
it still needs a lot of years to even catch up to other countries. So yeah, I mean, females are now, I think, more, of course, but I say, give them all they deserve. There's no need to hold back, and mm, because I think it's for the first time we have more female generals, right?
Yeah, we're definitely, making some impact, but it does have a long way to go, especially whenever you see a female who's in a male dominated field. I feel like being that female and hearing from other females, sometimes they want to label us as aggressive, or they want to call us, names that are not our given names, or names that are derogatory, when
Mhm.
in reality we're just trying to have a seat at the table similar to a male counterpart. So I don't see the problem with giving a female a chance that you would give to a male. And quite frankly speaking, I do believe that a female can do what a male can do, as long as she applies herself, and she has the passion that's driving her, behind it.
And it's also important is, I think a lot of people misunderstand one thing is that male and females have different strengths. So it's
Hmm.
not so, but you should not never compare same. They are not same, both. We are not saying on either side. They're not. You're not supposed to be looking exactly like man, and I'm not supposed to look like. We all have different strengths, and so there is good thing is there's more than one way of doing things. Okay, so but and some ways could be very exceptional and smart ways, and there is, of course, people like to keep doing same things similar way, and they don't want to learn new things because they are afraid, a no, that it might not produce same result, b that they are not even open to even think of that, and that's where I think the problem starts, because they want to create same prototype. But remember, if you create same prototype, you don't go anywhere. You just remain there, stagnant, and you will never grow. And look at even our medicine. Look at with COVID, and we are really behind on technology, really behind. Okay, so if before we got into this crisis with pandemic, and now we are forced to develop vaccine in uh, rapid, but where was this technology was there 30 years ago? Okay, and why was there not even a thought about developing? Now the viruses on all other technology things, they don't wait for us to catch up. No, I mean, COVID is not going to say when you are going to be advanced to catch up to me. I mean, that's going to reproduce and kill us. So that's what is happening. I mean, when I look at the one story everybody ignores is that why there was no. I mean, look at how many deaths has happened, how many people have died right now, and look at when the first flu, 1900s, how many died. With very similar figures. Okay, so and how many years have passed between them? 100 years. So, how much progress did we go? We went to moon, very good. Thinking about Mars, very good. But what happened to here? So the reason is very simple. Is that yes, we kept on doing prototype, we kept on filling numbers, we kept on saying so many grads, so many PhDs, so many very good. But actually, did they really work? No. Did they make any impact? Not really. I mean, out of these vaccines and all that, how many were actually came from Harvard or Ivy League? Zero.
Mhm.
Okay. So what happened to all those graduates? So what happened to all those, all the awards and everything? Not really. Who discovered the vaccine? It was a Turkish guy, who helped to get the Pfizer vaccine. So the question is, then what are we doing here? Or what are we doing? Why we building the system where we are not actually helping innovation? We are not helping diversity. We don't want to hear. We don't want to do anything. We just want to produce same product again and again and say, well, guess what, things don't stop for us. you know virus is not going to stop because that we are made in America, right?
Yeah. And I guess what I learned from you just sharing that bit, Dr. Moby, is you can't be afraid to take that leap of faith. You can't be afraid to get outside of your comfort zone, get outside of the box. So what if people call you weird? So what if people think you're crazy? Well, do it and do it afraid because, your idea could be the brilliant idea that shifts the atmosphere and changes the world's trajectory. But if we keep allowing that our self thoughts, limited thinking, negative people who are in our inner circles or listening to society, what society has to say, then we're never going to move that needle forward. So we have to be the catalyst that we want to see in future generations to come. You may not see it now in the present, but later on down the line, your name may be that name in history books because you were bold, you were courageous, you were unapologetically you to take a leap of faith and say, you know what? I'm going to go against the grain of salt. I'm going to be that Dr. Moby. I'm going to be that Genesis, or I'm just going to, hell, be me and do something that's different because I want to see change and I want change now to be better for future generations to come. And you could be the one to pave the foundation.
And unfortunately, this world is not kind to people who have a different opinion or different thought or
Mhm.
different, or they thought of kind of different world or different direction. They're never going to be kind to them because at that time there was a whole change of direction. And but reality is that that would save so many lives, that would take us to a next level and a foundation for so many good things to come and help. And but I think it all comes down to no guts, no glory, right?
What is it, Dr. No guts, no glory?
Yeah.
I like that. No guts, no glory.
Yeah, so because you need to have some guts and say no, I don't care. That it's not. It's good to be. We all actually did our portion for so many years, like you said, 9 to 5. But now we are going to make difference with all to help each other to to strengthen and to come tell people to come up and help each other and help themselves first, actually, right?
Yes.
By coming forward and and caring and giving ideas and so forth. But it can't happen if we don't encourage, and that's the whole idea of our show, and like yourself you're doing.
Mhm. And it starts with mindset and perspective. You have to really retrain your mindset and ask, it's not always what's in it for me, but what's in it for we, is what I tell people.
Mhm.
Because you can do stuff, but we also need people to partner with us in order, to go faster. Because if we're doing it alone and we don't always have all the answers that we need to our own problems, so we also have to be open minded to say that you need help. And whenever you do need help, go to those people who are doing something similar to what you're doing and ask them to help you, whether they are an informal mentor, a formal mentor, whether they are funding some capital, or whatever the case may be. We
Mhm.
have to be willing to say, when we reach that point of being at that, roadblock. Okay, you could either go to the left or to the right, or you could go to the left and be on that road alone, or you could, pivot, because in 2020 has taught a lot of people how to pivot. And you could pivot, ask for help, and then continue to scale up from where you are. It does not mean you have to retreat back. And another thing I do want to add, Dr. Moby, is even though Dr. Moby is no longer in his quote unquote 9 to 5 and he's doing his own business, and I'm no longer working a 9 to 5, does not mean a 9 to 5 is bad. If
Mhm.
you have to do what's best for you and your family, and what you're doing may not be the same as what Dr. Moby and I are doing, and that's okay. But if you're doing a 9 to 5 that you're completely in love with, you're passionate about, then do that and thrive. But also, don't put all your eggs or all your balls in one bucket, because you need to have a backup plan in case something does happen, like a layoff. Like, I got laid off. I didn't even, think about the layoff, being laid off after 7.5 years of working for a Fortune 500 company. But it happened, and I'm okay with it because it has taught me to be resilient and to pave. And now I am doing something that I love by speaking to you, speaking to Dr. Moby, and I'm taking time for myself. Who is Genesis? What is it that I want to do that is going to bring me complete happiness, and also make sure I have that flexibility to spend that time that I want with my family, and not necessarily punch in someone's time clock.
Mhm. And that is true. So, so any final thoughts you have for our audience? I know you already expressed lot. You already have great thoughts. So, any final words?
Yeah, so Dr. Moby, I actually want to put you in the hot seat, and I want to ask you two questions, and they're from the back of my book that I
Okay.
started.
Okay.
So the first question is, what challenges in the workplace have you encountered that left you feeling as if you were mistreated? That's question number one. Do you want both of them, or do you want to answer one at a time?
One at a time. Let's
Okay.
do. Okay. So, for my workplace, and by the way, I still run, my business, and I have a lot of employees too. So, I tell all of them same thing. I want you to all work here, but I want you to keep your creativity open and develop whatever opportunities. I have A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, whatever you like to do. Show me what you can do, and even if you can't, at least try it. You might hate initially something, and you might not like, but that's okay. Don't give up and keep doing. So some people get confused because you have like six options. And I say, well, let me tell you, and that's answer your question actually. So what I missed was, you know is that creativity thing, is that when I had few of my teacher and my colleagues, or few organizations, very few, which I actually worked for many years. They were really open to all the the thought into creativity and into thinking beyond the box. Okay,
Mhm.
so that to me is was kind of make and break thing. So I have worked with some hospital and they will say, no, we only do things in this box. And I said, okay, we'll do it, but I'm sorry, I don't think I can work for you for long. Okay. Because, I am like free soul. I just work. I mean, I take responsibility, but I find my way of doing things on it. I do follow guide, by the way, but in that guideline, I develop my strategy. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
Yes,
So,
that makes sense.
and I tell my employees same thing. I say, develop. This is ABCD. This is your responsibility. ABCD. But this has to be done. But I want you to be creative and just don't follow all this. And then you will enjoy it. Then you feel that's yours, your baby. But if you feel that I tell you I have to babysit and I have to do this all the time for you, you will feel when is 5 o'clock, when is 4 o'clock, and I'm out of the office, right?
Mhm.
Because that feeling is worse. Okay. And for me, and I personally, I don't work for anyone. If I have that feeling in that job, that it's not 5 o'clock yet when I'm out of here, right?
Yes.
That is so. I tell same to my employees is the day you feel like that, tell me, right?
Mhm. And question two, Dr. Moby, have others who were unqualified seemingly passed you by in the ranks? And this could apply to when you were doing a job where were an employee, or it could apply to now. So take the question how you want to answer it.
That is interesting. Actually, that was the reason I came to US. Actually, so I was when I graduated, I had my hospital registrar, and so I was in final year, and then he passed one a few years before me, and he was my really registrar of the war. And he says, I said, well, you don't have any post graduation degree, but you're a registrar. He said, you know why? Because my uncle is chief minister, whatever.
Mhm.
I said, really? And I said, that's good that you're telling me, but I know I feel good in that system that, if your uncle is chief minister or if your uncle is minister or whatever, has money, and then, uh, I don't know, I can thrive in that atmosphere. So if you are my supervisor and you're telling because you have money and that's why you're my boss, and I mean, so for me it was very disheartening. Okay, so you're
Mhm.
graduating, and I said, okay, I'm going to go somewhere where they value talent, and then I will learn. That's fine. Even I have to struggle. So I left and I'm here. Okay. And here, as sure, when I started residency, and yeah, my director was a very smart guy, and you know, of course, I arrived late on interview actually, and all the traditional thing. You arrive late, people say, oh, you're kind of done, but he didn't do that. He listened and he said, no, I want you. So I said, okay, that's fine. So I mean, that's how it is, so you can communicate sometimes with so that's exactly, yes, I have seen many times, even here too,
Mhm.
that they would, and I tell same thing also I try to do, is that system should never reward lazy people. Okay, but that is true. If you are the laziest of all, and then the system tends to reward it, and I've seen that again and again. I've done, like I said, department defense, private, everywhere I worked, and I have seen again and again, the majority not are pretty hardworking, but there are a lot of people who are not. So I give you example. I was the ER physician, and I had a doctor who would see only like 5, 10 people or 15 people in shift, and he or she would leave a lot of work for me to start because they knew I'm fast and I'm very productive. They knew my speed. So they will leave intentionally all the work because, and did I complain? No, I mean, I would still do it because, I mean, I'd say, well, they know. I mean, supervisors are not dumb. They exactly know. But if they let you do that, so if you're rewarding that and then you are not paying me extra to do that, I think this is disheartening, So when but people do that, absolutely, there are people who would sit all day in office and they know exactly what to say and not to say and get away with that, right?
Right. That's so true, Dr. Moby, because no matter what industry you're in, no matter, what career level that you're in, there has been people who have passed us by who were unqualified because of nepotism, because of sexism, or whatever the case may be. And it's not right. And sometimes it makes us as individuals feel bad because we are humans and we do have feelings. But
Yeah.
then at the end of the day, you have to, kind of shake it off and remember that that's their problem and it's not your problem, and you do have a choice, and you don't have to stay where you're not appreciated or valued, and you could take your skill sets and your self-worth and go elsewhere, whether it's to another employer or whether it's to your own business, because that corporation slash industry slash whatever industry you were in did not value you for who you are. But we have to be able to have these transparent conversations, because I never met Dr. Moby, but we're connected because now this global pandemic, and now I was able to meet him online. We're sharing our backgrounds and our stories, and you could see how there is similarities even though we're both from two separate backgrounds, two separate industries. It does not matter when it comes to work ethics, morals, values, all of those things are transferable across the board. And diversity, equity, and inclusion starts with each one of us doing our part.
Mhm. And that is so true. And lot of, I mean, I have seen in all different types, all different cultures, all different countries, all different societies that, somebody will say, oh, you know what, I am religious, so-called religious or whatever, but I cheat at work. I say, well, there's no religion that teaches that kind of dishonesty. Yeah, if you are not doing your work correctly and you're putting wrong hours and you're putting, that you could work more and you're not doing that, is no religion teaches that. Okay, none of that I read, so I said, don't you please do not use that term. You tell that's your choice, okay,
Mhm.
your choice, and that's fine, I can live with that, but don't blame it on any religion or any culture or anything, right? So because that at the end of the day it is about ethics, it's about principles, it's about uh, honesty and fairness to others, right?
Mhm. Yep. And integrity is so important.
Yeah. And thank you for coming, and it was pleasure. I even forgot, are you my guest or I am your guest? So, but it's wonderful. Thank you for coming to our show, and I'm sure people have enjoyed that. Okay, take care, and hope to see you next time.
Thank you, Dr. Moby.
Take care. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.